Sorry, what is your name? And I know your husband. I know David. Thank you. I hadn't had the pleasure of meeting you.
You're the first person she hasn't known since I've been coming here, but.
Well, I get out that.
No, she just knows Dean with us tonight?
I hope so. See,
Oh, you got Zoom people on.
yeah.
Just see.
Oh, there's Dean, Zoom user.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Dean.
Hi, guys.
How you doing?
Good. I'm driving for a pickup at the airport, so I'm going to mostly keep myself muted.
I was gonna ask you if you were going to or coming from Home Depot, Dean.
We've had
Would have been a good guess, but they've missed me. I haven't gone for a couple of days.
You still have your parking spot though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it's 5:30. We'll call the meeting in order. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the February 13th meeting of the Board of Selectmen?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Is there any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
No communications, appointments and resignations. Wanted to announce the resignation of Lisa Stein from our Economic Development Committee, and thank Lisa for all her work. She's been very involved over the last many years.
I think she was with it from the beginning.
Probably, Jay.
Yeah, I believe so.
From the outset.
Yeah.
But we understand everybody's got a lot of things to do.
Yeah.
She was with that, I would make a motion that we appoint Ryan Cangello to the Economic Development Committee for an indefinite term. Ryan is the owner of the Owl.
Oh, great.
And has been at several of the meetings, has spoken with Michelle, has submitted his letter of interest. Just seems like he'd be a good addition to the board.
Fabulous.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, wait a minute.
I'll second it to you.
All in favor?
Aye.
First selectmen's report. The budget, we're moving along. We met with all the departments, some we've called back. We're in the point now of fine tuning, making adjustments to the budgets. That continues to go well. At this point, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say we don't anticipate any mill rate increase with what we've been looking at, so.
That's the hope.
That's the goal.
That's
always.
the goal, I should say, more than the hope, right?
Jay, anything for a report?
Well, I just wanted to mention, we were meeting with actually Kevin Smith, our head of our highway department.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the official name. And he passed along a note about some training he attended, the Connecticut Green Snow Pro for Roadways class. And he attended the class, it was a couple hours, I guess, and he is certified now. And he pointed out that most of the things they talked about there, we've been doing for 10, 15 years. Things like we know which roads we put more product on than others. We modulate what's happening based on the weather. We use a better product than the state recommends, a cleaner product than what the state recommends. So one thing I was glad Kevin attended to hear what other places are doing, and then to find out that we really have a program that's been effective and gets our roads clean, but it doesn't overdo the amount of chemicals and salt and whatever we have to put on it to keep those roads up. But so I wanted to thank Kevin for doing that, and I know he works, and the crew, especially this year, have worked really hard to keep those roads clean, as hard as it is. So that's
Great, thank you, Jay. Dean, anything?
No, nothing tonight.
Thank you. New business, I would like to make a motion, we extend an invitation to bid for transfer station hauling and disposal.
I'll second that.
For anybody who may not know, that's a bid we go out to annually. That's for hauling MSW recyclables out of our transfer station to our Bristol facility. I think we're gonna look against, specs for 2 years.
Yeah,
this time.
yeah,
And
hopefully,
and see what
yeah,
we can
no, I think that's a good idea. We had used the same hauler for years. We've gone out to bid 2 or 3 times in the last few years.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think it's worth doing.
keeps everybody's pencil sharp.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any more discussion?
Just a question, what's the timeline for getting bids? Did we have that on there yet?
Yeah,
Them.
Bids are due.
They will be due on the 27th of March at 4 and opened at our selectmen's meeting at 5:30.
Right.
all in favor?
I,
Thank you.
Aye.
Visitors, last week or 2 weeks ago, contacted by Keith Angel, to discuss Lake Warmog and some of the water studies. Keith, thank you for coming tonight. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you. Is it okay if I sit at the table?
Of course. Yeah.
Make sure people can hear. I didn't log into the Zoom. Hopefully people.
They'll pick you up on that mic for
Okay.
sure.
Cool. Just by way of introduction, my name's Keith Angel. I'm a longtime Washington resident. I've owned 3 properties in Washington. Been an active current taxpayer for multiple decades. I currently own the former Lake Womog Casino property, where I visited as a youth, probably illegally. And it's 4 acres there with 500 feet of shoreline, private well. So I'm highly engaged to protect Lake Warmog. I'm a 60-year Lake Warmog recreationalist. I'm past president of Lake Warmog Country Club, and I'm the chairman of Lake Warmog Friends, which is an educational nonprofit dedicated to educating the Lake Warmog stakeholders on good citizenship, safety, and protection surrounding the recreational use of Lake Warmog. So I'm here to share and submit some studies that we commissioned and that have been commissioned relative to the topic around enhanced wake boating. So I'm going to give the selectmen, I've sent this by email as well, so it's just printed copies.
I have.
And Keith, so you know, this will be attached to the minutes and posted on the town website.
Okay. So
Thank you.
there's 2. One is from the water environmental consultants, and the other is a journal, water resources journal, I think I'll reference. So really what I want to do is just, as part of our educational mission, and in response to the work that was done by Paravigilis, Lake Warmog Friends commissioned an independent third-party review of the Terravigilis work. So I want to submit that for public record, as well as the report from the journal that was done in 2022. So the independent technical review, this multi-page document, the flyer, was done by Water Environment Consultants. It's a firm that specializes in engineering and permitting for lakes, rivers, and coastlines. It was referenced by Terravigilis in their report. In fact, they cited some work that WEC has done. Matt Goodrich, who is a principal at WEC, who did this work, is a professional engineer who has 20 years of experience and is well published in the industry. He did the technical review of the Terravigilis report. So all of the details are in here in excruciating fashion, as any professional engineer would do. But all I really wanted to do for purposes of tonight is just read the executive summary that they made. You can go through the details that are attached. So, and being a professional engineer, formerly a professional engineer myself, registered in the state of Connecticut, I appreciate a technical review has requirements when a professional engineering person does it. So I know you appreciate that. So I'm just going to read the executive summary so everybody has it. So WEC reviewed the Terravigilis report and found that it lacks a clear problem statement. It does not provide a clear rationale supported by data for their recommendations, and it should be revised to address these issues and other issues listed below in my review. The Terravigilus report implies that ski boat wakes are acceptable conditions on Lake Warmlock. The acceptable wave conditions and necessary buffer distances should be determined considering site-specific conditions and issues and be based on stakeholder input. That was point one. Point two, in the executive summary, any evaluation of boating impacts on water quality should consider the context of their effects as related to the primary drivers that affect water quality in the lake over annual cycles, as well as the current conditions and trends in the lake. Water quality has improved over the past 2 decades, according to the Lake Warmlock Task Force, despite all the boating activities, including enhanced wake boating. And as we know, Terravigilus said they didn't study water quality at all. It came up in the question and answers, and it wasn't part of their scope. Point 3 from WEC. LWF estimates that enhanced boat wakes occur less than 4% of the time over an annual cycle. The frequency of boat wake impacts should be considered in the context of other lake processes, such as wind wave events over an annual cycle. So in talking to Matt, he was just saying, we all agree it creates a bigger wave, obviously, more weight, bigger wave. But when you look at the percentage of time and the distribution over the lake, you have to consider that relative to any environmental impact. Point 4, the ability of previously proposed voluntary guidelines to meet management objectives, the town's objectives, should be evaluated. Lake Warmlock Friends has proposed voluntary guidelines for restricting enhanced wake boating to an area with 20 feet of depth and 200 feet from shore. And the Lake Warmlock Task Force has proposed for several years now voluntary guidelines at 20 feet of depth and 300 feet from shore. So there are organizations associated with the lake for many years, like Task Force, that has looked at this and proposed voluntary guidelines. So I think he's suggesting that we leverage those. Point 5, any evaluation of lake safety should include a review of recorded safety incidents and include the Lake Warmlock Authority season review police reports. For example, the 2024 report from State Trooper Joseph Hamill listed no complaints or citations, parenthetically, or drownings or death, as referenced by Terravigilus, related to enhanced wake boating during the summer of 2024 when we had more coverage. So that's the technical review. Technical review of the Terravigilus report and suggestions from a professional engineering outfit that has studied this on dozens of lakes around the country. I'm sure Matt would be happy to come and talk to the board. He attended the Terravigilus presentation and has offered time that we would fund to have him, if that would be helpful. In addition to the WEC report, I wanted to just submit to the town this study done, what's called numerical study of the impact of wake surfing on inland bodies of water. It's a 40-page document that was published in a journal of water resources. It's all modeling, so it's not measurement in a lake, but it's modeled from what really happens, and all the math checks out. But the key point that I just want to mention, so as another point of reference, the conclusion in the abstract, the final sentence of the abstract is that if a wake surf boat is operated 200 feet from shore in at least 10 feet of water, The environmental impact is minimal. It's just another point of reference, and there's probably more out there in literature to provide input to the town as they consider this situation. So just concluding, and I'll cede the floor, happy to take any questions. LWF has proposed voluntary guidelines. We're working with the stakeholders around the lake to ask them to follow that, which is 20 feet of depth, which I think we all support, and 200 feet minimum from shores and docks. That would be an improvement to current guidelines. There are no current guidelines. It's 100 feet.
You just said that Lake Warm Task Force had guidelines,
Yeah, they proposed guidelines.
200 and 300.
20 feet depth and 300, correct.
So,
There are no regulatory guidelines, would be the right way
well,
to say it.
but
And I'm proposing voluntary, and the task force is proposing voluntary. We said 200, they said 300. We would love to all agree at 250 or something and not waste everybody's time. But that would be an improvement to what exists today in terms of enforcement. There is no ordinance or enforcement on the lake other than the standard state and Coast Guard recommended 100 feet. So we're just submitting information to give you more data points. I want to thank the Board of Selectmen for the time to present that. Appreciate all the work that you're doing on this. And I'm happy to answer any questions if they can help.
Thank you, Keith. Appreciate it. Is it okay if maybe you've already done that, share this with County Warren? If
I
not,
believe we have, and we're on the schedule to present to Warren next Tuesday and Kent next Wednesday.
okay,
Same exact thing.
sure, great.
Yep, and shared this with Marty and with Greg.
That's perfect. Thank you, Keith.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Bruce, I saw online that you had a comment. You want to go ahead?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm Bruce Birnbaum. I live at 135 East Shore Road in Washington on Lake Warramog. I and my wife have resided there since 2012. Just a couple points. I first want to commend the selectmen for engaging Terra Vigilis. I think that's precisely the way a governing board should proceed, which is to commission an objective study without having a predetermined outcome or point of view. I think the analysis and conclusions of the Terra Vigilis report are thorough and I think unbiased and professional in every respect. And I think it's striking. I have not seen the report that Mr. Angel is referring to, but I have seen some emails that summarize the report. And I think it's striking that although it nibbles around the edges, the report in no way rebuts the fundamental premise of the Terra Vigilis report, which is that wake boats, unlike all other vehicles on the lake, create a very significant downwash, which disturbs the floor of the lake, stirs up chemicals, et cetera, among other things that are pointed out in the report. And I don't think there's anything in the report that Mr. Angel's talking about that fundamentally rebuts those things. I would also note that the report that was commissioned from Water Environmental Consultants was commissioned by a privately funded interest group with, I believe, a particular point of view and a particular desired outcome. And I think that should be taken into account when considering what it has to say. I think it's principally an advocacy piece that, as I said, tries to nibble around the edges, but I don't think very effectively with the Terra Vigilis report. Maybe most importantly, I would just point out that Water Environmental Consultants, who Mr. Angel is referring to in the report he submitted, they did a study of several lakes in Georgia, and I just want to read a few things that they found. Now, this is Mr. Angel's and his organization's own consultant. What they found is that, and I'm quoting, Large wakes create unsafe conditions by swamping recreational craft, impacting other boats, causing falls overboard. Small craft, including canoes, kayaks, and sailboats, are particularly at risk of being swamped, broached, or capsized by steep waves from wake boats. That's his own consultant speaking. They go on to say, quote, as detailed by this report, wake boats produce much higher waves than typical cruising or water skiing craft. They produce larger, more energetic waves. The increases in wave heights and wavelengths caused by wake boats increase the risk of injury or fatal accidents on these lakes through several possible mechanisms. They point to, quote, increased risk of swamping of small crafts that have a low freeboard, which in turn increases the risk of drowning or injury, increased risk of falls overboard, which also increases risk of drowning and injury, increases incidence of cruising boats slamming into waves, resulting in passenger injury, and increases incidence of vessels being pushed or slammed onto docks or shoreline bulkheads, which increases risk of injury or death for people near the vessel. And I'm quoting that to you both because this is their own expert that's saying that, so I think it's difficult for them to disagree with the conclusions. They go on to say, quote, cruising boats hitting large wakes can cause injury or death. The wake impacts to docks and bulkheads can cause unsafe conditions. And the report goes on and on and on and on. So I would urge the selectmen, if they're going to credit the report of water environmental consultants at all, they should take into account what that very same expert has to say about the safety issues. And I think the safety issues are at least as concerning as the strict environmental issues. Lastly, I would just say that I think it is clear from the fact that these inquiries exist and that this has become an issue here and all over the country, that there is a very, very, very significant wake boat issue. People on this lake lived together long before I was on the lake. Canoers, swimmers, kayakers, sailors, uh, motorboaters, they all lived together without any significant issues until this issue, which I think is just hitting us all in the head. So I would implore the selectmen to prohibit the use of ballasts on wake boats until at least various studies have been done and a decision has been made. I think the balance between the environmental and safety issues far outweigh any conceivable prejudice to the boat owners who can operate their boats as they like, absent the use of ballast. And in my view, this is really no different than saying that, I should not be able to drive my car at 80 miles an hour around the lake. No one is saying these wake boats can't be used in the way everyone else has used their boats over the years, just not with the ballast that creates these very harmful and unsafe conditions. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Bruce. Just want to give you folks an opportunity. You're here. Did you go on? You're all set. Is there anybody else online? Keith, thanks for bringing us in. Thank you for the presentation. We appreciate it. Are there any other visitors, any other topics to be covered? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Have a nice weekend.